you have to have all 3 levels of mentorship in place, or you won't be thriving in your up cycles and you won't be surviving in your down cycles. I want you to find, where do you have this dialed in pretty well, and what parts of this are you missing that you're going to start to go fill those gaps.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Harder Show, where we are making you unapologetic about your pursuit of success, knowing that when good people like you make good money, they can then do great things. My name is Chris Harder, and several times per week, I will bring you epic guests, solo episodes, and every single tool, trick, and skill set you need to grow your business, grow your money mindset, and to grow your wealth to levels that you have never reached before. I've ended up in a unique place in life where I've got the experience, the connections, and all of the secrets that it takes to be successful. And I'm lifting the curtain to reveal it all to you in an effort to help put you in a position of abundance so great that you can then be as generous as possible. So let's lock arms and let's get started.
I am together with my husband, Chris Harder, who also has his show, The Chris Harder Show.
It's my first time in our new podcast studio.
First time in the new podcast studio. And we really felt the call to record this episode because we have been there more times than we can tell you. And I think people aren't really talking about just how many hard seasons that you hit, not only as an entrepreneur, but in life. So we want to make sure that you know that you're not only alone, but we want to share the actual method that Chris and I do. Now, we had no idea that Chris and I were doing a method when we were doing it throughout our lives, but we keep going back to this framework that has helped us so much. And now we've put it together for you because we want to share exactly what we do when we've felt challenged or when we feel like we can't grow, or we've noticed we're even doing this in our biggest growth seasons. So this is something that you're going to be able to follow along with no matter what.
And I want to start by reiterating what you said. I think people always assume that things are always going better for other people than they're actually going.
Always.
I think they always assume everybody has more success than they have. I think they always assume they always have more money than they have. So it's so easy. Throw money at this, throw money at that. I think they always assume that everything unfolds their way. And that is not the case. I feel like we have a hard season probably every 2 years, meaning we get like a really good 18 to 24 month run. And then we step into a really hard 12-month season. And then we get another 18 to 24 month explosion, and then another really hard 6 to 12 month season. And what I've learned in this cycle is, one, it happens way more than anybody lets on. I think that's the important thing that we're talking about today. So you don't feel alone if this is happening to you. Number 2, once you realize it's a pattern, once you realize it's a cycle, it stops scaring you and you're more prepared to weather the storm and come out even stronger on the next upcycle. And you especially are able to do that kind of using the method that you and I are about to talk about.
I think that this is one of the most important things that we can share, because all you see online is somebody's big launch, or you hear that everything is going amazing, or you see these dollar amounts over and over and over. And I remember when we were first really getting started, Chris, and we were launching programs and we had a membership program, and I would be constantly comparing myself to certain people that I would follow. And what I learned years later that I wish I would have known, because I literally beat myself up and I was like, what's our problem? Like, why can't we hit these numbers? And even though looking back, we were hitting incredible numbers, I didn't realize that people were spending a ton of money either on Facebook ads, or they were paying their affiliates a ton of money. They were paying for their marketing. And you and I didn't even know about paid marketing at the time. Like,
we were bootstrapping it.
We were fully organic, comparing ourselves to people who were doing paid marketing. And we're like, oh my God, they did a 7-figure launch. And this was the first time they launched that program. And little did we know that they spent $600,000 on Facebook ads. And so I was realizing, oh my God, they're having the same launch as we are. They're just paying to get the people. So we were actually doing better. These are little things that I want to highlight to people who don't realize if you've launched organically and you've done okay, and you're comparing yourself to someone who's done a lot bigger launch, you have no idea how much money they put into marketing to get that number that you might actually be doing just as good as them or just a little bit behind.
Well, they're running an entirely different business model. There's two different business models, right? There's high overhead, high reward, or there's low overhead, lower reward. But the joke is this. When I analyze almost everybody out there making money in personal brands or solopreneurs or small businesses, the net, the take home is darn near the same. So you have to choose, which headache do you want? Do you want all the moving pieces, all the overhead, all the upfront expenses, all the team members to have a great big top line number that you can brag about? And then when you deduct all those expenses, you've got your net of, whatever. Or do you want a small team and less obligations and less upfront spend and still net a really good number that's close to what the other number would be, but with way less of a headache? And there's not a right or wrong answer here, by the way. These are both right answers. It's what's right for you. But the reason we share this, part of it being a secret podcast, is the secret is you have to know which business model you're doing so you don't compare yourself to the wrong business model and think that you're failing.
Because you're going to leak so much energy. Like, I can't tell you, I wish I could have gotten all of that energy back that I wasted on comparing and being upset when life was going pretty good at the time and we can make it bad. And that's something else that we don't see. I want to share a time where to the outside world, it looked like everything was going amazing for me. Like, it actually looked like I was on top of the world. And back in my fitness competing days, when I started after 4 years of not winning anything and getting really dialed in and putting in some of the hardest work of my entire life, I ended up having a year where I literally won everything. I swept 3 titles that have never been swept before. I was Ms. Bikini America, I was Ms. Figure America, and I became Ms. Bikini Universe that year, which was absolutely insane. I did not see that coming, but it was all of the crazy hard work and all of the massive sacrifice and restriction in my life that got me to that place. But what people did not see, and while I want to just make it clear, it was so worth it. I needed to do that. I needed to put all that sacrifice in my life. I needed to sacrifice weekends. I needed to sacrifice friends. I needed to break through a plateau. And there are years like this that are vital. They're rocket ship years where you're going to use all the fuel that you possibly have, maybe even more, reserve fuel. You're going to be running on nothing in order to break through that atmosphere to the next level. That was a breakthrough year for me. Now, what people don't see on breakthrough years is that was the loneliest I've ever been in my entire life. We were not going anywhere with friends because I was watching my food intake so much. And
I was getting ready for a photo shoot or competition.
Exactly. Always wanted to be photo shoot and competition ready. I felt so restricted, so isolated. My diet was kind of getting dialed in, but I still didn't 100% have that all dialed in. So, as a woman, when you're not getting all the carbs that you need in the proper nutrition, like, you feel depressed. And I hadn't had my period for like 2 years. I was not feeling good. Like, I was unwell in so many areas, but so incredible in other areas. And I want to let people know, like, in your biggest breakthrough years, sometimes it's the worst year of your life simultaneously. So I think that when people looked at me from the outside, they're like, oh my God, that's the epitome. You must feel so amazing. I've never felt lonelier. I've never felt more isolated, and I never felt worse in my body. If I'm being honest, I was exhausted. I was overworked. And I will say though, that year I would repeat it all over again because I would do it different now, knowing what I know, absolutely. But I think it's important for people to know that you're looking at some people, maybe you're looking at a content creator, maybe you're looking at someone who just got an influx of followers. I remember when some of our friends got like 1 million followers almost overnight. And to everyone else, they're wishing that happened to them. And to these people, they feel like they're drowning. They feel like they have to keep it up. They feel like, who do I have to be in order to make this, in order to live into this person? Am I going to keep this up? Am I going to lose this? How do I sustain this? Like, the amount of stress that can come with some of these big blessings, people don't understand.
In sticking with this being a secret podcast, I won't even begin to give a clue of who this is, okay? But I remember being out to dinner with one particular couple, and the one half of the couple was at peak fame and finally reached the cajillion book sales that they always wanted. And I mean a cajillion.
Peak
and
fame.
Every single stage, every single celebrity talk show. And she almost started breaking down crying, saying, I have never been so tired. I have never been so unhappy. I've never been so overworked. And I remember you and I went home that night because we were like, this is what we want, right?
That was what I wanted.
And we had a moment. We're like, whoa,
this is not what I want.
Careful what you asked for. This is not what I don't want to look and feel that way. This person was a skeleton of their prior life.
We turned the ship after that.
We turned the ship. Now, this is not a, hey, be cautious. Don't chase down your dreams because you're going to pay for it podcast.
I'm all about that chase.
Right? I'm all about that chase. And I'm all about accomplishment. This is understand the methods you're going to have to incorporate. And we'll share those in a little bit in order to succeed in the up cycles, which can be just as tiring and tough as the down cycles. And I want to go back to this up cycle and down cycle for a minute. Remember, I said, you'll have a couple years, at least our pattern, a couple years of just killing it. And then a really tough year of what the hell. And then it goes into another couple of years of just killing it. And then another year or whatever of like, oh, what the hell. And I remember one of these up cycle, down cycles. I was looking back recently at pictures. We were looking for some pictures for some marketing stuff. And I said, babe, look at this. Like, look at everything we did in 2018. My God, we were on fire and book launches and we're everywhere and hanging out with every celebrity person and all this stuff and invited everywhere in every country and all this stuff. And I go, oh my God, look at 19. This is insane. We're everywhere and then some. And all of a sudden it hit me when 2020 hit. We were so tired and so burnt out and so over it that when the pandemic hit, we were relieved. Now I want to be careful. I'm not relieved that the pandemic hit and people were hurt or lost loved ones. But I mean, we were so relieved that the world shut down because we didn't know how to get off.
I didn't know how to get off that roller
pace,
coaster.
and it was killing us. It was killing us being everywhere all the time. And so part of your up cycle, because we were printing money, is also you have to learn to manage it with some of these tools that we're going to talk about, or it'll quickly become your down cycle. And then 2020 became a major down cycle. Matter of fact, that was a down cycle so that people can understand our pattern. 2018, 2019, literally couldn't stop printing money. 2020, all of a sudden, not only does the pandemic hit, that affected everyone, but then my dad passes away in June of 2020. And we lost Waffles, our dog, which was like our child, right before dad passed. And the world is shut down. We had to refund all your Bliss Project people, which was a couple $100,000 when you don't know if you're going to make any more money because the world's shut down.
And we didn't know if the hotel was going to refund us for a while. We were going back and forth.
Because they weren't going to originally.
And they were like, yeah, people were not getting refunded because they were screwed too.
And then so we had to go home to Wisconsin, take care of mom and everything. And I didn't even realize the depression that I was headed for and the grief that I was headed for. I thought I was experiencing it. But my God, as the second half of 2020 unfolded, I didn't want to do anything. And I shut down everything around me. And it was just like burning stuff down around me. And this program and that program. I don't want to do anything. And did crazy knee-jerk reactions, right? And then 2021, most of that whole year, I felt the same way. I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to work again. I mean, this really burnt me out. The combination of losing dad, right? Depression, and the extreme run that we were on in 2018, 2019, going into 2020, those two things, I was like, I don't know if I ever want to get back there again. And
I
luckily,
remember you telling me that. And
we bought a motorhome and just traveled around the country.
I was in sheer panic, you guys. Like when your partner that you're used to relying on tells you they don't know if they ever want to do anything again, I was like shitting my pants. And also simultaneously trying to be supportive. Like, okay, you'll get your mojo back, where I'm like, holy shit, what do I do? Like, how do I be supportive? But also I felt the weight of the world because I was kind of feeling that way too. I was so burnt out and we were lost for a hot second.
Yep. Well, I was lost all the way through
everybody
2021 mostly. And then had a nice uptick, 22, 23 again. And then here we are. Right now we're recording 2025, but I had the worst 2024, like the second half of it, all the way through now that you could ever imagine having. I'm going to call it my worst 12-month period, my worst year. So to give context, the worst thing that ever happened to me was dad dying, of course. But the worst year I've ever had was the past 12 months where Frello, that I raised all that money for, and we spent 2 years and $3 million building the greatest peer-to-peer personal loan platform ever built. All of a sudden, overnight, 5 weeks from launch, we couldn't launch it because the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, just made up a law for one of our competitors and sued them into the Stone Ages. And our attorney said, you can't move forward. You get pulled into this. Overnight, all that work, all the investors at stake, everything gone. And we had to find a pivot. And that began sleepless nights and stress like I never felt before. And I started becoming unhealthy. And I started making horrible choices, supplementing and abusing caffeine and abusing my testosterone. And all that led to a stroke when I was 46 years old in September.
Literally on our anniversary.
Yep. Well, the day after we got back. A stroke in my sleep. And I'm now 50% blind, maybe a little bit more, in my right eye. And that led to battling a bunch of neurological challenges that literally reprogrammed my brain. And I didn't even know who I was for a long time and had to start going to therapy and all this stuff to figure this out. And then that led to, mom was in and out of the hospital a couple times during that. There's lots more going on during that time that, I'm not even sharing in order. And then I tear the bicep off my shoulder and have to get surgery and recovery from that. Now, the good news is this. We're going into one of our up cycles. I feel so optimistic and so energized. But for the past 12 months or 11 months or whatever it's been the worst down cycle that I've ever experienced. Now, here's why I set all that context up. Is you explained some of your cycles. I explained some of my cycles. Notice every couple of years, we're getting our asses handed to us. And so if you feel like you're getting your ass handed to us, and not for a few months, sometimes for, in one of the cases explained, like 18 months. If that's you, that's okay if you start to rely on some of the community and some of the actions that we're going to share.
For a lot of people, there is a lot of incomes going away. There's a lot of network marketing stuff going on. There is a lot of downsizing in companies. There's a lot of AI taking over.
Inflation
is going on. I mean, there's a lot going on. And we're not saying this to be downtrodden. We're saying this because we know that there's still hope. There's still a way. And there's always a way, and that this is just another pattern. Money never goes anywhere. It moves. It literally just moves. And we desperately want you guys to learn this because let me tell you, we know the lows. We know the conversations going on. We know the sleepless nights from 2 until freaking 4:30 in the morning where it just makes you feel worse the next day, where you have brought in every bad memory from your past, everything you've ever done wrong, everything you've said wrong, every dumb move you've made, all the doubt that comes in, this is it, it's finally over, I'm not going to be able to do it. We understand that more than you could possibly know. And those are the times that make you.
Yep.
These are the invites, the opportunity, and the initiation. And we are both clear. Chris and I are so clear that you get a lot of these initiations throughout your life, in your 20s, definitely in your 30s. But I really believe that midlife in your 40s, there's a really, really big one because I think that you start to feel like you should have arrived and you're already there. And I can't believe I'm dealing with this again. So it actually can make you feel even worse. But I want to point out that the bigger the bigger the low, the bigger the opportunity. And so both Chris and I believe that this is one of the biggest initiations into the second half of our growth and our life, because we get to know what we're really made of. And so we feel this too. We're like, okay, what do we want to be doing? Where do we really want to be putting our energy? Who do we want to be defined as in this next half of our life? And we're going to have one of those years, and you guys are going to watch it from the outside, where we're going all in because we know we have a whole other level to us. And you know that when Chris and I do anything, we bring everyone with us because we know that we don't just sell, oh, how do we help you? How do we get you to the next level? We sell certainty and hope. And so him and I need to instill that into our DNA. That's what we're doing in our programming literally right now. And there's no other way to do that than just massive action and belief and doing the work. So we're going to share the work that we do with you.
So we've looked back and said, how have we survived all this? The up cycles, the down cycles. Why do we keep bouncing back bigger and better every single time? And we realized it's something called the mentor method.
Mm-hmm.
Lori calls it the mentor method. When I talk about it, I call it the mentor ladder. It's the same thing. And that is this concept of you have to have all 3 levels of mentorship in place, or you won't be thriving in your up cycles and you won't be surviving in your down cycles.
Yep.
And so the 3 levels of mentoring is you have to mentor up. In my case, when I call it the mentor ladder, that means there are several people who are several rungs up the ladder from you, and you're trying to climb this ladder. You need to mentor with them so they can pull you up the ladder. Mm-hmm. So it's mentoring up. There's mentoring across. People forget or don't even know about this one. Maybe the most important mentorship you're going to do is what I call cross mentorship. You're helping your peers who are right about at the same place as you, and they're helping you. Mm-hmm. You're collaborating, you're sharing ideas, you're kicking each other back in the game.
You're partnering.
You understand better than anyone else what's going on because they're at the same level, at the same number of employees, and the same problems as you right now.
These are your voice note buddies. These are your like almost daily or weekly voice note check-in buddies. Like, hey, I'm dying over here. How you doing? Just checking in.
Yep. And then you have to mentor down. Mm-hmm. And this is everybody that you are mentoring who's on the same ladder as you, but they're a few rungs down, right? You've climbed the ladder a little further than them. And you have so much to offer them. And I think when we get to explaining that part, it's going to surprise you why that one has so much value.
It's actually going to blow your mind, and you're going to realize why you've been missing it and why you need it ASAP.
Yeah. And so here's the catch. If you don't have all 3 levels of mentorship in place, then you're going to feel alone, or you're going to feel like you don't have the ideas, or you're going to feel like you're struggling, or you're not going to get through the down cycle, or your down cycle is going to take you way longer than it should, or you're going to crash and burn in one of your fruitful up cycles because you're going to be doing it wrong, or people aren't going to understand, why you're doing what you're doing. So we're going to break these down for you a little bit. And I want you to, as you're hearing these, I want you to find where do you have this dialed in pretty well, and what parts of this are you missing that right after this episode, you're going to start to go fill those gaps. Mm-hmm. So let's start with mentoring up.
So mentoring up is, like Chris mentioned, this is where you make sure you have access to somebody who has done what you want to do before. Now, it could be in something somewhat similar, but it is also really nice when it is exactly what has been done before, that you have access to questions and you have access to understanding what is normal.
Yep. Because
I know with growing Glossy, my new company, when I first started it, I didn't have a ton of access to a mentor who had grown a supplement company or a physical products company before, because I had spent all of my time creating mentors in books, in events, in podcasts, and in all the things that I had done. So when I pivoted, one of the biggest things that not only while I grew the company that I had to focus on and grow was to go and find mentors who had done what I had done before, something similar to this, because what I needed to know and hear is what was normal. I needed to know what sales were normal for the first year. I needed to know what problems were normal. I needed to know what to expect. I needed to know what to look for. I needed to know what to get trained. I needed to know all of that. And so for me, I had to go and get into groups. I had to get into masterminds. I formed some masterminds on my own with people who had been on this journey before, because the importance of having those people, not only when sales were going up, but when I was stuck, when things were not going the way that I wanted, when teams were not doing well. And I was like, what do I even do? Am I bad at this? Am I hiring the wrong teams? What does this look like? And getting access to those people to have them help me move quickly. When you're a startup and when you're in business, period, that saves money. Smart moves and fast moves save you so much money, time, and heartache, and they get you through the tough times quicker, which is what it's all about. It's all about your comeback rate, which is how fast you come back from failure.
In a minute, I'm going to ask you who one of those people are for you, part of your mentor up on your ladder. I'm going to share one of mine right now, and I'm going to keep using my most recent down cycle. The past 12 months I've had, they've been, toughest year of my life. When all of a sudden Frello had no direction overnight, and I had the pressure of all the investors, right? I've got a fiduciary duty to figure out a pivot, to figure out how do we salvage what we've already built? How do we find a new direction that isn't just a direction for direction's sake, but something that's still going to be an incredibly winning idea, right? I started looking around for the right mentor for this. And somebody connected me to a gentleman named Bobby. Now, Bobby built and sold and still owns part of one of the biggest fintech lenders in the United States. You don't get access to a guy like this. Mm-hmm. But luckily, I knew someone who knew him. And ironically, he mentored with Bobby because this guy I knew was also in fintech. And so he introduces me to Bobby, and Bobby agrees to mentor Matt and I in this pivot. And suddenly, his perspective, his ideas, his connections took all of these broken pieces and all of this fear and all of this, what the hell do we do now? And he so easily started to put it in order and help us rule out, here's a good idea, don't chase this one. Do this, don't do that. And I mean, he saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars in going the wrong direction on pivots that we thought we were going to go. He saved us tons of time because now we're already well into building our pivot and I can't wait for this thing to launch. He gave us not one idea for our pivot, but we actually have 3 directions now that we're going at once, which normally you don't recommend, but these are 3 cohesive directions where we're getting 3 bites at the apple by utilizing the tech we've already built, tech that we're building, and the actual team itself that fits into other opportunities that he knew of and saw right there. By mentoring up with somebody like him, it has single-handedly saved Frello and saved me and kept me in the game. And when you guys see one of these record-setting years that you're about to see, when we're in one of our fantastic up cycles, you're going to say, oh, see, they always just come out on top. No, it's because I went and purposely found somebody in the space that allowed me to mentor up with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that story so much. And now he's, it's so cool because the people that you're mentoring with, I feel like I get to be mentored by them too. Because on our walks, I'm always like, oh my God, tell me what he said. Yep. I love learning from people who are so far ahead of me on the journey. It's like the most exciting thing. My brain just gets lit up by it.
And can I add something too? I thought I was going there for him to mentor me on fintech because, his company is multiple billions of dollars, mm-hmm. and he is a billionaire himself, right? You know what else I've gotten? So much mentorship on marriage, mm-hmm. because he and his wife, Sophie, have been married for so long. Mentorship on family, kids or no kids. Mentorship on money management. Mentorship on the economy. I mean, this has been full scale life changing.
Yeah.
As opposed to just getting some ideas of where to take my fintech company. And I didn't expect that.
You can't unsee when you go and hang out with some of the most successful people. And I love that he's your mentor because he's got such a great family life and marriage and all of the things. So, I mean, I haven't even gotten to meet him yet and I love him. But I literally cannot wait to meet
What's important is he's also had the lowest of lows that somehow they made it through in life, in marriage, in business.
And he shares those.
And so he's really, when I was at my lowest point, he was able to kick me back in the game, not through theory, but through experience.
Yeah, I love that so much. For me, I have a lot. I can say Bill Glazer of Outstanding Foods, I wouldn't even have raised any money or launched.
The king of raising money and CPG.
Without getting to talk to him. And there's something, I think it's amazing because Bill has this adorable, freaking amazing, brilliant daughter. And I just think I actually think he has such a beautiful way with women that when I got to talk to him, I didn't feel intimidated. I felt so empowered. Like I owe more than I can possibly say to this man. So I'm so grateful for Bill Glazer for the beginning of my journey and also for now, like how he shows up for us.
Yep.
Always so available, always the person who gives it to us. Really, he's such an East Coaster, you guys. I'm obsessed. He'll just tell it straight to our face, like, get over it. This is hard. This is what you do. This is your job as a founder. Get out there, go raise money, like go protect your company. It's your job. And it's like, sometimes you need that person to have you get over yourself a little bit because it can be hard. And Chris and I can together, when we're both having a rough time, we can, support each other in wallowing. And while that can be great for for a little bit, you also need those people who kick your ass back in the game. I've had other people like, of course, getting to spend time with Jamie Kern-Lima, who has sold It Cosmetics. And that was just, those are huge for me because the advice that she gives is so pointed and pivotal and clear. And it's helped me just really have these North Stars for my business that I always refer back to. And she's always a text message away from me. This has been one of the biggest, most beautiful relationships in my life that I will always nurture because she's just literally one of the biggest champions for women. Jimmy DeSico, who I worked with for a few months from
Founder
Super Coffee, he has been incredible. He has taught me to be really fast with decision making and see key players, see where I can save money, really look out ahead of everything in, products and what's coming down the line. And he has really empowered me to make fast, smart decisions and understand what an A player looks like on your team. So that is really huge. I also want to give a shout out to Chris Bernard, Bernie of MindRight. He has been huge for product formulation for me, like being able to try a bunch of different ideas on the skin in the skin and gut world and have access to incredible formulators and science teams. Like, I'm just so incredibly grateful for him throughout this journey. And also one more, I just want to say Kaylee Christina of ClearStem too, for having a woman who's gone before me to show me what's possible. Her company is absolutely crushing it. But what is so cool is Kaylee pulled back the curtain at one of my events that she spoke at called Girlfriends in Business. And she got really honest about what her first year and her second year looked like. Yeah. And as a first year right now, literally just finished my first year, it's so important for me to know what that first year looks like because I'm comparing myself to people who I'm seeing on year 7 right now or year 5. And, I'm like, whoa, not there yet. Why don't I have this? Why don't we have that? Why can't we do this yet? And that can really feel defeating. So these are all my mentoring up people. There's so many more, you guys, but the list goes on and on.
Yeah, I could name 100, but I want to move on to the next rung on the ladder, if you will. And these are your peers. This is mentoring across. And people are like, mentoring across, what's that? Like, these are just your friends, right? No, mentoring across is an energy exchange, an equal energy exchange, where you are supporting your peers that are at about the same place as you in life and business, experiencing their versions of very similar things that you're experiencing. They've got same size teams, same size challenges, same size financial challenges. They're bumping up against some of the same hurdles. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have people that you are mentoring across from, that means you're mentoring them, you're getting their back, they're mentoring you, they're getting your back, then this is probably the biggest missing piece of your mentorship ladder. And the reason why you need these peers that you mentor back and forth with so much is, how you're good at like 1 or 2 things, you're just naturally good at them, and then you're really not good at 4 or 5 things. Mm-hmm. Well, they're also really good at 1 or 2 different things than you. But some of the things they're not good at, you're good at. And then another person is going to be really good at 1 or 2 things that you're not good at. But then you're going to be able to help them with the 1 or 2 things that you're really good at. So what you end up getting is this collective genius of people that understand exactly where you're at, real time in the trenches with you. It's like you guys are in the Navy boat storming the beaches together and getting shot at together, and you got each other's back, right? So bad times, they get it. Good times, they get it. Got a question, they have the answer, or one of their peers does. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense to people to hire a mentor, right? To mentor up. But I don't think people ever put enough time and energy and effort into mentoring across. Mm-hmm. These are your ride or dies.
Yeah, I want to talk about why, also just practically why this is really cool, is what happens if I were to go and ask, let's use an example. What if I said to Jamie Kern-Lima, who did you use for social at It Cosmetics? Like, I'm not going to be able to afford the team that she had at that point, or she doesn't necessarily know, or the people at the top don't necessarily know who those different teams are, who the website builders are, who the social media people are, who the people who can build your funnel at your price point right now. Like, you need to be in a room of people who go, oh my gosh, I got a guy and they're a great price right now. Oh my goodness, I have someone who totally understands like exactly where we're at right now. I have somebody who can build this out for you. Oh my God, let's do it in trade. I've got a girlfriend who's really good with this. And if you trade her for this, you guys can do this. This is like the hustle point.
Oh, yeah.
This is the point where you're piecing team together. You don't have a huge budget yet. And even when you grow, you guys, the budget doesn't get much bigger because
well, the budget gets better. There's no more room in it.
Exactly. You're putting it back into marketing. So you're still scrappy. Like Chris and I are still scrappy in so many areas. Like with Glossy, I am so scrappy right now because I'm like not a huge company yet.
I hope people hear that. The numbers get bigger, but the comfort room does not.
No.
Right?
It's crazy. So this is why the across is so huge. And I want to point out one other part of across that is vital is these people, when you have them and they're in the same exact place as you, when you partner or even when you're talking every day, they are the people who are going to give you the most confidence. Now, I do think that the mentor who is up can give you a lot of confidence, but the people across, when I say they give you confidence, when you either partner with them or you set goals together, like you're both in the fire together and you're either going to go up together or you're going to go get rejected together, whatever that looks like. And I actually want to use an example of when I wanted to put together this sort of like this mastermind with women who were ahead of me. I was so scared to ask women like Jamie Kern-Lima, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Amy Porterfield. I was like nervous to ask these women to get together. And I remember going to Lindsay Schwartz, my friend, who we're both in the space together. We just are. We're running buddies in the space. And I went to her and said, we should put this together because if we go and ask like whoever it was, we hadn't fully decided on who we wanted to just have this small group be or who we wanted to ask. And when we went to ask, I was like, so if we get rejected, I don't know if it's me or if it's you or it's both of us. So you get so much confidence to go and do things when you partner together. Like whenever I'm lacking confidence in something, if I want to have like a women's dinner and I want to really put myself out there and ask women who are way ahead of me, I'm gonna partner with someone. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it right now. I'm like, hey, would you partner with me so that when we send this invite, like it already looks like something fun because there's two women doing it. You feel like you can be like, yeah, we're going to do this no matter what. Like, even if no one shows up, her and I are still going to like have this thing together. And so when you look at it like that, when you kind of partner, when you kind of make these goals together, another thing I did with Lindsay was I'm pretty sure it was 90 days that we committed to 90 days of posting every single day on social when her and I weren't feeling like we were being consistent enough. And these running buddies are the people who you're like, we got to do this. We got to break through. Let's do it together. Let's hold each other accountable. If we don't do this, the other one is going to have to take the other one on like a small shopping spree. And we both knew we didn't really want to be doing that. And we wanted to be either going on that shopping spree together, feeling very consistent on social. But what I knew is that I didn't want to disappoint her either. And I knew that every time she posted when I hadn't done a post yet, I was like, God damn it. Like, I need to put this post out. And so that's what these running buddies really need to be used for. You guys need to be tapping into like really partnering with them, setting goals together, setting weekly goals, setting monthly goals. That's when they're going to be used the best.
Yeah, I've got an example of mentoring across that really kind of saved my tail. So, I just told a story about finding Bobby and he won't work with people typically, but I was able to work with him. Well, it's because I was mentoring across prior to that with a guy named Tyler. And Tyler has an incredible tech company where he's sourcing leads for fintech companies and all these other things. He's one of the best in the business at it. And he had the relationship with Bobby and he was mentoring and had done some business with Bobby. And it was his introduction and his endorsement that allowed me to get in and have Bobby, who I am mentoring up with. But it didn't stop there. Tyler called the other day or texted the other day and he said, hey, this new pivot that you're making with Frello that you explained to me, I think I see where that fits into my business. I think there's an opportunity for us to collaborate and speed each other up. Let's have a talk. So now we're talking about what does it look like to collaborate on this? And he has an already very well-established business. So that's going to be a big boost for us upon launch because we have been working back and forth and bouncing ideas back and forth and helping each other back and forth. And we're peers in the space right now. So I wouldn't have the mentoring up relationship if I wasn't mentoring across. And I wouldn't have this new opportunity upon launch coming up if I wasn't mentoring across. And that's one of a million examples of where you have to have people that understand exactly where you're at the same time that you're there. That says, oh, I got a guy. Oh, I've got a girl. oh, let's put these pieces together and collaborate. And then that becomes the next big it company or the next big idea. And it doesn't happen if you're not mentoring across.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's move into mentoring down. And I believe that this piece is so underrated and might be the missing piece of why maybe you're feeling anxious, you're not feeling hopeful, why you're feeling lonely. And this has also been one of the biggest pieces that has started to turn the ship for us when we've felt really down and really freaked out. So mentoring down is really you deciding to teach what you know in whatever modality that you want, but it's you showing up as a leader. And so what happens when you do this? When you teach, it's not only the best way to learn, to really relearn. And when I say it's the best way to learn, it is how you get it in your cells. When you teach what you've learned, it's when you integrate it into your body. And so your confidence and your authority really grows and expands when you become a leader. So I want you to think about the times that you've learned something and then you've gone and taught someone. It's like, wow, you all of a sudden feel so good, so confident. And it's like you almost get it even more. You understand it a lot more. And I'm going to share a time when this really happened for me and it launched my career. And then I'm going to expand how you can really do this in different ways as well. When I was doing fitness competitions, I owned a gym. And when I owned that gym, I got to be an ambassador for Kathy Savage Fitness, which was kind of this membership and training company who was led by a woman named Kathy Savage, where I got to become an ambassador, where I was able to train other women, help train for stage other women who wanted to do fitness competitions. And so I became that ambassador in my location at my gym. And while I was simultaneously trying to win those competitions, it was the year prior before what I shared. It was the year right before I started winning everything. So when I started training these other women, I took that entire year. And what ended up happening is I had to show up as a leader. I was very uncomfortable because I all of a sudden had to show up as the expert and critique them and tweak them. And not only were they coming to my Sunday classes where we did group classes of anywhere from 20 to 50 women who were all training to compete on stage, I'd be teaching them stage walk drills. I'd be teaching them posing drills. We'd be doing a workout. I'd be doing a lot of mindset stuff and really talking to them about, what goes into being on stage. Then I started getting people who wanted to pay me for one-on-one. So I really got into a full hour of training, critiquing, really helping them become the very, very best that they could. Do you know what was happening to me
You're getting
during
better.
that time?
Osmosis.
I was getting
reps.
so good because I was noticing every little thing about them because I wanted to be the best for them.
Made you better at your game.
That I got better. And so what happened to me is that full year of me teaching people and having to first make myself be confident, make myself stand in front of them, make myself be the person who, in front of 50 women who show up, I go and demonstrate this stage walk with full confidence and full flair and full all of the things, all the personality. That took balls to do.
Yep.
That was not easy for me. I'm actually a fairly shy person. I don't want to be. But it's what I'm always fighting against is I feel like I'm extremely introverted, but I get some anxiety. So I had to fight through my anxiety demons every Sunday walking in front of those 50 women to show them these different stage walks and poses and whatever it was that we were doing and speaking. And it turned me into a leader by being in the fire. And so being a leader and being someone who taught turned me into an expert. And that next year, I won everything.
Yep.
It was so in my body, Chris. I couldn't undo what I had learned from all of the reps and having to be a leader in front of all of those women. I know that was the difference in me winning the next year. If I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have won.
Not at all.
I wouldn't have won for sure. It made me dig deeper than I've ever dug having to show up as a leader. And I know that you did this during the pandemic.
Yeah. Well,
in order to turn the ship.
What you just described is mentoring down made you better at your own game because you were learning by working with them. Oh, wait, I bet that applies to me too. Oh, that doesn't work when you do it that way.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm going to add 2 more reasons why mentoring down is crucial. The first one is around purpose. The second one is around building your bench of up and coming talent. So let's start with the purpose one. When Dad died, go back and check the tape. When Dad died in 2020, because I was committed to doing this podcast, I was a few years in at that point, and I see doing the podcast as a form of free mentorship, right? I knew I couldn't skip. I mean, I could have if I wanted to, wouldn't have been the end of the world, but I knew I couldn't skip episodes of doing the podcast and having that purpose or something to have to go concentrate on that was constructive, even if just for an hour once a week, and having to show up for interviews, because I was doing interviews back then that were already scheduled. That gave me these little moments of contribution where I was concentrating on something constructive instead of something destructive. Another example, I had my elite mastermind up and running, back then when Dad passed away. And I remember later that week, we had our big monthly group call. And they assumed that I would cancel it. And I showed up for it. And I showed up for it because I needed that purpose. I needed that escape. I needed to go answer all their questions about their business so I could feel valuable and a bit normal for a moment in a time where everything just seemed horrible around me. So it gave me purpose. And then shortly after that, a couple months after, we had our big in-person event. They're like, I can't believe you're running this right now. And what do other people do? They back out on their obligations or they skip. But when you're committed to mentoring people that you know need you, then it forces you to show up even when times are bad. And when you show up when times are bad, number one, it keeps you in the game instead of disappearing and having to start over. Number two, it gives you those bright spots of hope, of purpose. It gives you a really healthy distraction. And it's going to put you in a better position because when you see people winning around you and you have a little hand in it, then you're reminded, wait, I'm not that far from winning again myself. So the first one's purpose. The second one, though, is what I call building a bench. You have to understand when you mentor down, picture the ladder, the mentorship ladder, go down a few rungs on the ladder. When you mentor down, there are so many talented, way more talented than us, people that you're mentoring. And the only reason you're mentoring them is they're a few years behind you, but you quickly realize, holy shit, this person's the next star in tech. Holy shit, this person's the next star in marketing. Oh my God, this person's the next star in social media. And when you're a part of their development journey, guess who then gets to benefit once they step into their stardom, once they step into their power, once they are fully running in their business? You do. Because you've built this beautiful relationship with them when you were there for them, mentoring them when they were either scared or had questions or just getting started. And there's this reciprocation now, this reciprocal relationship where they feel like, hey, I owe you one. And there's a relationship where you know each other and where you know what they're capable of because you looked under the curtain of their business. And when you know how talented they are, it makes it easier to hire them or partner with them or work with them. I'll give you a real example. Jim Carter. When he was just getting started in his business, he had entered our program called Fast Foundations. It was his first self-development thing he ever did, he told me. And he was scared out of his mind to be there. But he wanted to have his own tech business. Fast forward, that was years ago. Fast forward, he built Lewis Howe's AI personality, Matthew Hussey's AI personality, Ed Milet's AI personality. So when you use their AI bots, Jim built those. And he built one for you. He built one for me. They're going to be available in the program that we have coming up here so that you can ask us questions and get real answers that we would have get. They're creepy. Like I test it all the time. It's creepy.
I love that. Real
questions in a time where you would be able to get a hold of us otherwise. You're going to get the same answer I would give you if we were on the phone. And he built that for us. And I wouldn't have known how to build that. I wouldn't have, listen, I own a tech company, but it doesn't mean I'm good at tech. It means I'm good at other parts of building a business. And that's an example of somebody that you mentor down, you get to know, you build a friendship, you see how talented they are, and then you turn to them saying, hey, could you build me one of those? Because I see you building it for all the other people out there that are crushing it. Danny and Brienne, this very podcast, or our podcast producers, this very podcast wouldn't be going the way it is right now without them always giving suggestions, keeping us on track, taking care of the production, booking our guests, doing all those things. And they started out in our programs years ago. And now, they're such an important part of our life. I could go on and on and on with this list.
We have so many that we use. It's actually insane.
Well, a lot of the coaches in our new program, because, we developed the new mentorship collective mastermind. A lot of the coaches in the program are people that were first in our programs years ago. And we recognized, you are the most talented sales coach. You're the most talented marketer. You're the most talented tech person. You're the most talented team and ops person. And then when it came time to put together this program, it was a no-brainer when we said, okay, what's the world asking for? They're asking for a program where they don't have to go hire other coaches. We hire them for them. And as long as they're part of the program, they get one-on-one coaching with them as much as they want. And it was a great idea, but it's like, where the hell are we going to find these people? Oh, I know. We already know them.
They've already changed everyone's lives in our program. When you start to see that everyone at the end, when we ask people who made the biggest impact or who changed their business, and they're all standing up saying, these people who are the coaches, we're like, oh, they changed everyone's business because they're so incredibly talented.
Yeah. I think of Joey and Christy Spears. I think of all these people that were once in our programs that now help us. Like, hey, need some branding? No problem. I got you. Hey, need this? No problem. I got you. I can't express. You said this might be the most underrated one. I can't express how underrated it is that you have to have people, even if they're just one step behind you, that you grab their hand and pull them forward. Maybe you turn them into a peer where now you're cross mentoring, right? Because when you are able to look under the hood while you're mentoring people and see who the up and coming talent is and develop those relationships early before they're too impossible to get a hold of, that is when you'll never want for a solution ever again, because they're already built into your life.
So something really cool that we did in the Mentor Collective Mastermind is we're giving you an opportunity to show up as a leader in there. You're able to do something that we're calling teach backs.
Yes.
Where you get to teach something back if it's approved, if you worked hard on it, and you get to teach the group back. And not only that, in the Mentor Collective Mastermind, there's so many other opportunities to show up as a leader in there to your peers, to partner with them, to do all of these different things. But we always feel like this is such a missing piece in different programs. And I want to say that even when I was doing Bliss Project, when I had it for the 8 years, I believe it was 8 years, I had something where the women who were attendees, former attendees, got to speak on stage for 5 minutes each. And I would pick out these different women every single year to highlight them, because I understand the importance of having to have somewhere after learning something or being part of a program where you get to show up on stage, quote unquote, as a leader. So the Mentor Collective Mastermind is putting a really great emphasis on this, because you need somewhere that is going to call you up. You need somewhere that makes you a little nervous. You need somewhere that's going to push you to be the best version of you, to teach someone else, to teach your peers, to teach people who, even though they're your peers, they're behind you in some areas, they're ahead of you in other areas. And this is the piece that's going to pull you off the bench when you feel stuck. I mean, when Chris was talking about this, I got super emotional because, Chris, I was having flashbacks of every moment in our really down points where us mentoring other people is the only thing that brought us back. It is like, I was thinking of the pandemic when we're like, oh my God, what the hell do we do? And you decided that you were just going to, you're like, you know what you do in these times? You show up for people. And even when you don't want to show up, you show up, because it builds certainty and hope within you. And you mentored people every single week on a webinar.
It started out 3 times a week, totally for free. I said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll do a Zoom, free, come show up. And I did that for months. And then I brought it down to 2 times a week. And then I brought it down to 1 time a week. And I did that for like 15 months. And do you know how many people are in our life now? Because like, oh, I found you when you used to do those free webinars during the pandemic, explaining what you thought was next for the economy and then answering my business questions.
And you didn't know that. You didn't know that.
No
right
idea.
Away. It wasn't like it
No
was
idea.
huge for us. It wasn't a ton of people getting
No,
on
we were
all
locked
of
at
the
home,
time.
and I love the economy, and I love business. So I'm like, hey,
you're like,
are
you
you
know,
scared? I'll answer your questions.
I'm going to give back because I know there's a lot of fear. I know, and that's what you did. And I'm thinking back to, if you're in this spot that I was in, I had built a bit of my career, but I really wanted to grow and I felt stuck. I felt like I didn't have the platform that got my voice out to enough people. And I was like, you know what? I'm so sick of feeling sorry for myself every day and like, oh, she has it and I don't. And I wish I had a bigger following. And why do they have this and all of the things? And oh, I don't have a film crew and I hate getting ready every day and I don't want to be on camera. I was really in that place. It was a bad place. And I was like, okay, well, how could you get out there every single day and get over yourself and take some action? Because action cures anxiety. And that's just a phrase that runs through my head all the time. Like, even if I'm like, oh, I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling like, you know, I'm not growing the way that I want. Well, take some freaking action and that's going to make you feel better. So I started doing Facebook Lives every day for a year. And while it didn't feel like it had all of this momentum behind it, it felt good and people were showing up and it was helping, you know, build my brand. And it was helping, I knew it was helping build some or sell some Bliss Project tickets. Cause when I would do it and talk about Bliss Project, maybe a ticket would come through here, a ticket would come through there. So I one a day ticketed my way to selling, you know, Bliss Project event. Here's when I understood what it was doing. Here's when I fully got the gist of it. So after 1 year and I show up at my Bliss Project event, I show up on the first morning and when I was doing those lives, I called them bathrobe lives. And it's because I didn't want to get ready. I didn't want to put my makeup on.
Down, grab your coffee,
I
in
knew
your
that
bathrobe.
if I did not do it before I was ready, if I did not just show up even when I didn't want to, that I wasn't going to do it. So that was my decision that year. I'm like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop believing the lie that you have to be ready and just freaking force yourself to do it. I needed to build this habit. I needed to break through this poor me feeling. So I did. I'm like, I'm just going to show up and commit. When I showed up the first morning to the initial opening of Bliss Project, I looked out and I think probably 50% or more of the crowd was wearing bathrobes.
Oh my God. I remember. That is freak. I had forgotten about that.
And they bought me probably 6 bathrobes that year.
I had forgotten about
I got
that.
like 6
Some from the hotel
bathrobes.
bathrobes. Like they just brought those down.
Yes, they were all wearing, and I was like, I like just started crying.
Oh my
because
God. I had
we do
forgotten
not
about this.
understand
The impact
of showing up for these women. I want you guys to understand it wasn't just these women showing up in robes. Do you know what it took for them to get on an airplane and come to California?
Yep.
And wear a fucking bathrobe
On the first day
and
of the
like
event.
say goodbye to their family. And these events were not popular at the time.
Nope.
And it was like a 3-day event. It was fairly pricey at the time too. And they showed up in that. I had no idea that this was not for me.
Yep.
This was like, I mean, looking back, it was for me. It pulled me out of some dark times. It pulled me out of poor me. It made me show up. You guys do not understand the impact of the mentoring down.
Yeah. Not only will you get the purpose, like you had mentioned in the Mentor Collective Mastermind coming up, we're going to do teach backs where we choose a few of you each week and you get to literally teach the one thing you're great at to the whole rest of the group. It's going to be a big group, right? So what happens is 1, you get purpose. 2, you get significance. But 3, people learn what you're good at and then they ask if they can collaborate with you or hire you. So you literally find clients, you literally find ride or dies because we put you, in that case, on a virtual stage. But like you used to at Bliss Project, we've always put people on a literal stage because we believe that if we take the stage that we built for ourselves and put other up and coming people on it, then we all get the benefit of being lifted
That's
up
how
together.
you win, you guys.
Yep.
Always thinking of other people and how you can prop them up. That's how you win.
Can I tell them some more features about the Mentor Collective while we're on it?
Let's do it.
So there's a call every single week. And, 2 out of the 4 weeks every month, you and I are answering their exact questions about their business that they, ask us. And the other calls is a mix between those teach backs and then making them collaborate as a community because we believe we build community with people you'll never have met in your life otherwise, better than anybody else. But also the coaches that we've put on salaries, they're teaching their areas of expertise. So you're learning something new in marketing, in finance, in legal, in sales, in tech, in AI, in everything that you need to know under one roof instead of having to go out and hire these coaches, right? We hire them for you. But then it gets better. These very same coaches, you get what we call answers on demand. You're going to be able to ask them your real questions about your business and get an answer on demand back from them. So if you have an AI question, you ask our AI coach. If you have a sales question or a marketing question, you ask our sales coach or our marketing coach. If you have a podcasting question, you ask our podcasting coach. Social media, we've hired it all. Hiring, firing, team leadership. We've hired everything that you need, and it's free. So whether you have 10 questions in a week, 1 question in a week, it doesn't matter. What I can't stand is programs where you're like, okay, I understand the module here, but what about my business? I have a question, and you've got nobody to answer. This solves that on demand. Unlimited. It's freaking insane. It's crazy. And it was really hard. It took a long time to put this together. But we wanted a program where you're learning, where you have community, where we put you on a stage in front of the other people, where you have people that you can mentor up, right? Lori and I and the coaches that we've hired, where you have people that you can mentor down, and where you have people that you can mentor across. We cover all the rungs of the ladder in this thing.
We make sure you're connecting with the people in the group. A lot of times you can go through modules, you're in there on the calls, but we make sure that you guys are getting together in a way where you get to know each other.
Yep. You're going to get the AI versions of Lori and I to ask questions of for all the in-betweens when we're not doing the calls. Lori and I are doing office hours where we're going to be like, hey, this day on this week, we're popping in for an hour. Come just hang out with us. Ask us anything you want. Super casual. On top of the other calls I was talking about, we have decided to create what we're calling the most supportive mastermind on the internet. And when we made that our mantra, we said, okay, we want to build the most supportive mastermind on the internet. What does it have to have for us to back up that claim? We went out and we assembled it. And I'm so fucking proud of it. This will be the greatest thing that we have ever built yet in our self-development, business development world.
I love this program. It's what I wish existed in the freaking messy middle.
Yep. It's for businesses that are making under $500,000 a year, right? So if your business is 25 grand a year, 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, 300 grand a year, like this is for you. This is kind of the stair step that helps you get into Elite Mastermind if you want, right? Because so many people in Elite Mastermind once started in something we used to have that was similar called Fast Foundations years ago.
And Elite Mastermind is in person.
Yes.
That one. I mean, throughout the year you're online, but those 2 in-person events, that's enough to completely change your life.
Yep. And there's so much more that I can't list right now. That's going to be a perk. Let's just say opportunities at proximity is going to be very important. I don't want to get too much more into that, but there's so many awesome perks that are going to come with this thing when you're in your most important years. And that is that 0 to 500,000.
For sure.
Right. That's the hardest getting to your first million is really the hardest thing to do. After that, it's more tweak and repeat to go to your next million, your next million, your next million, next million. But that 0 to 500, that's a hard one to transcend. And this is built to help you transcend it in the most hands-on supportive way that anyone has ever created.
We're so freaking excited for you guys to join this. We are hoping, we're sitting here hoping that we get to work with you.
Yep.
Because this changes our lives as well.
Yep.
And we're so grateful to get to do this work. This is the year that you and I are constantly looking at each other going, I am so grateful that we get to help these people, because even though we've gotten to do so much in our life and we have so much more that we want to do, like you and I, we feel like we haven't even started yet. And I know that we haven't. The biggest, most important thing in our life that we have realized outside of our dreams truly is that we get to help other people.
100%.
And the amount of growth it gives us and purpose and satisfaction and gratification, like I will never not do something like this. And you know that I keep talking about the programs that I want to create, even when I'm older, after, I've sold my companies. Like I want to be in programs like this because it's life. It's life-giving. It's your life force. If you're a creator and a builder like Chris and I, if you're crazy like us, you're going to want to be in this program because it's going to be your exact people who get you, who understand we can do this. We can create what doesn't exist right now. We can create these dreams. We can make this happen. You can break the pattern of your family. You can break any pattern that you don't even think is possible right now. Guys, This is like hope. It's energy. It's belief. It's companionship.
It's access. It's information.
Access. It's all of these things in one place. And we're so excited to get to do this with you.
We really hope that we get to mentor you. We really hope that you play not just one, but many rungs on the ladder with us, starting now, going into the future. We can only take so many people though, because we could only hire so many coaches. We could only pay so many salaries, right? Like it had to make sense. So that means there's a cap to what we can take in the beginning. So to have a shot at getting into this program, we really hope you try it out. To have a shot at getting into this program right away, right now, go to loriharder.com/waitlist. That's going to put you on the early access, early notice waitlist. You'll get noticed first before anybody else. Go to loriharder.com/waitlist, and that will put you on the waitlist for the Mentor Collective Mastermind coming up that is launching April 29th.
You'll get everything first. You'll get the best deal if you're on that wait list. That's the list.
You probably won't get the program if you're not on a wait list, to be honest. So,
all right, you guys, we hope we get to see your name on that wait list, and we will talk to you next week on the podcast.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Love and appreciate you.
Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode and know of someone else who is as successful as they are generous, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world to me if you help me get this cause and this message out to as many listeners as I can. So please, if you liked what you heard, it goes a long way if you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. And until the next episode, cheers to your success.